Welcome back. Time for The Lid. Hugh Hewitt, Cornell Belcher, Yamiche Al-Sindor. Before I want to go back to the substance of what happened in Europe, but very quickly, the Mitchell Andrew decision, how he's handled this.
Courageous.
Yeah.
I mean, I got to tell you, and look, I praised Governor Haley when she came out on this, so it's not a partisan thing to me. He is someone who's taken his integrity, because let's be clear, Chuck, this kills any chance of him running statewide. Running statewide. So this was he acted sort of on his integrity and what he thought was right, and we need more politicians doing that.
And I think he spoke to a moment where we're having this conversation, I would say nationally, what is America? Who are we going to be? We obviously have a president who said, make America great again. That slogan means a lot to a lot of things to a lot of people. What Mitchell Andrew is saying, what we can't do is go and somehow look at the past, look at slavery, look at racial division and say, well, there were some good people in this that we should still have out on our courthouse steps. So I think courageous is something. I also think that politically, in terms of the nation, in terms of the Democratic Party, they need people that are going to stand up and say, look, this is what I think, even if it's not popular.
Do you strike the right balance, you think?
I do, and I think it will be an issue in the Virginia governor's race with the Confederate soldier who stands in the middle of Alexandria, Virginia, who has decorated this Memorial Day. I went by him, and I think in the Virginia race will be the next beachfront in this continuing conversation.
You think in that primary it will?
Yeah.
Oh. I want to go to Europe a little bit and more the substance here, and that is, is Europe fracturing before our eyes, and is Donald Trump contributing to it, Vladimir Putin contributing to it, or what is happening? What is this moment, and how do you not read it as everything that is exactly what Putin would want? Hugh, you follow.
I watched the Sky News debate last night with Jeremy Paxton as the moderator, most annoying man in journalism on both sides of the Atlantic. And Theresa May did a wonderful job. She's a terrific prime minister. But there is a problem at the heart of it, which is most of Great Britain didn't want to leave upon reflection, but they are leaving. And therefore, there is a breakup in Europe underway, not the post-war order. And Merkel did not help things yesterday on our Memorial Day by chiding Americans for their lack of support for her country. So there is great tension in the alliance.
Well, I think when you look at what the president has done, it's hard to see that our influence isn't eroding, right? I don't think whether you're Democrat or Republican, for decades, American presidents have said it's important for us to have a leadership role in Europe. It's in our best interest, in fact, to be a part of Europe and leading Europe. And with this pullback, it doesn't make us safer. When Merkel says, you know what, Europe, we got to go out on our own. We can't depend on Americans. I think that's a slap in the face to decades of sort of American diplomacy and what Americans have said. You know what? We need a leadership role in Europe because it makes us safer.
I think about, I just came back from Paris maybe a couple weeks ago, and I think about how much Europe is changing and how much that's influencing people, the way people think. I talked to someone there who's kind of into terrorism and into fighting it there, and he was talking to me about the idea that they have this problem where you can kind of go to all these different countries. You can maybe set off something in Paris and be in a completely different country within hours, and Parisians are trying to figure out, and other people in Europe are trying to figure out, well, how do we maintain open borders? How do we have this while also having a changing society? Need to figure out how to also fight these things better. So I think there's a weird dynamic there. And I think in some ways it's also what's happening in America. America's changing, and we're trying to figure out who should be here.
It seems this is where Europe's sort of in conflict with itself. It's like they have to, if they're going to deal with this problem, they gotta work together. But right now, they're at odds on everything. They're at odds on the Russian relationship. They're at odds on whether terrorism is a police action or a military issue. And there's a split on that in Europe.
Well, you can't throw down against Great Britain on day one and demand $100 billion and a hard Brexit. And on day two, try to get Britain to encourage Donald Trump to stay in the Paris Agreement along with you. You can't have it both ways if you're Angela Merkel. She's the most important person in Europe. She's got to play the role of being both an American ally and sometimes...
But in her defense, the president's not making it easy.
I think the president spoke for America. I do not believe the Paris Agreement's in our best interest.
No, I'm not talking about Paris. I'm talking about this trashing of Germany.
Again, she started that yesterday, and I think the president's remarks this morning were...
It doesn't make us safer. It doesn't. It does not make us safer. I know, we're wrapping.
Yep, we are wrapping. You saw poor Mario there. Yamiche is the good citizen here. As always, women follow directions better than men. All right, that's...